After hearing a lot of buzz about this swimming hole in the middle of Texas, I decided to explore it myself and see if it was truly worth the hype. In a state where nature is a bit barren, the Hamilton Pool Preserve is an oasis, home to diverse wildlife, vegetation, and marked by its iconic emerald green pool. In this video, I'm going to provide an immersive experience of this natural Texas landmark, highlight everything you need to know before planning a trip, including its reservation system, and give my honest thoughts on whether it's overall worth a visit. And the answer is not as straightforward as you may think. So sit back and relax. This is your travel guide to the Hamilton Pool Preserve. The Hamilton Pool Preserve has two main attractions. One is, of course, the Hamilton Pool, and the other is the Pedernales River. Now, you can skip the Pedernales River and only check out the swimming hole, but if you want to fully experience the nature of the area, then I highly recommend you see both. Together, this makes for a short 2-mile hike, which I'm going to highlight next. The hike begins with a short descent. The signs warn you about its steepness, but all in all, it isn't too bad. You'll quickly reach a fork in the road and have a decision to make. Do you check out the Hamilton Pool or the Pedernales River first? We choose to see the river first and the pool second to save the best for last, if you will. The 3/4 mile hike to the river is peaceful, quiet, and much needed after a chaotic last few days in the city. We take some time to admire the trees and vegetation around us. While the path is continuously up and down, the elevation gain is minimal and unchallenging. Eventually, you'll see the river peaking in the distance. A short descent to its banks, and you're there. Listening to the babbling creek, we relax. Again, it feels so nice to be away from the city. The journey back is not boring because the main attraction still looms. Eventually, you reach what you came for, the swimming hole at Hamilton Pool. The open cave-like structure is a collapsed grotto formed by thousands, if not millions of years of water erosion. Stalactites jut from the top of the cave, dripping water into the pool below. Only a few people admire the view with us. A stark contrast to what it once was during its heyday in the 60s to 80s. Its rise in popularity back then ultimately led to its transition as a preserve to protect it from the threat of over-tourism. With an advisory that swimming is not currently allowed, we sit by the beach and take in the sights. Another destination crossed off the list. Now that you have a better idea of what to see at a Hamilton Pool, let's discuss everything you need to know to plan a successful trip. The first thing you need to be aware of is their reservation system. You must reserve a ticket online before coming. They do not allow any walk-in visitors. As of the recording of this video in 2024, reservations are $12 per vehicle for up to 8 people. In addition, each person has to pay a cash-only fee when you arrive, $8 for adults, $3 for seniors. And when you reserve, you have to pick one of 2 time slots, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. In the first group, you must leave by 1 p.m., and in the second group, you must leave by 6 p.m. Of course, this system is subject to change, so check the website in the description for up-to-date information. I would recommend giving yourself at least 2 hours to complete the hike and check out the pool. The Hamilton Pool is located 30 miles west of Austin, which makes for a nice half-day trip. But unfortunately, your dogs will have to stay home as they are not currently allowed to help preserve the wildlife. With all that said, is the Hamilton Pool Preserve overall worth a visit? Personally, I thought it was worth a visit, namely because we were craving to see some nature after a few days immersed in the city life. But I think for the majority of people, it's only worth it at certain times of the year. When we visited in February, the waterfall was all but a trickle, and swimming was prohibited due to high levels of bacteria in the water. When you should go is when the waterfall is flowing, like in the summer, and when swimming is allowed. You'll have to check the website for updates on swimming status. Arguably, the most disappointing part of the entire experience is the closure of the trail under the overhanging cliff. Apparently, this section has been closed since late 2020 due to safety concerns of falling rock, meaning you can no longer circumnavigate the pool like before. I've seen pictures on social media of the pool from this vantage point and it looks insane. It's just such a bummer that this is no longer accessible. Comment below if you've ever visited when the trail was fully open. I'm curious to know what your experience was. And who knows if they'll ever reopen that section, but only then do I think this area is worth a return. Overall, the Hamilton Pool Preserve makes a nice half-day trip from Austin, especially for those who enjoy nature. But just know it currently lacks that wow factor from the trail not being fully open. If you want other ideas on what to do and see in Austin, especially if you're short on time, then check out my Austin travel guide here. As always, happy travel planning and see you in the next adventure.